said, "Hey, you got your mojo back." and and she's, I didn't know I'd lost it, but your wife knows. Your wife knows.
Jeremy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad to have you on the call. You're one of our star members, brothers. You
Oh,
bring a whole
please.
lot of energy, excitement, positivity, and learning and teaching to our community. Will you just kind of start with telling our audience out there, who are you? How'd you come into Thumos? Just tell us a little bit about Jeremy.
My name's Jeremy Eck, and I'm a multi-state, multi-million dollar business owner who was pretty lost in the world until I found my buddies at Thumos. I was looking for something, and God put Jody and I together on an ISNet World Call, and the rest is history. I made 6 months, was it almost 6 months worth of Zoom calls before I ever made my first weekend. And there were several things that tried to keep me away from my first weekend, but I made it anyway. And the rest is history. I'm not looking back, man. I gained from that weekend, I gained strength, love, and light is what I walked away from that weekend with. And I brought it to my home, and it's just a different world now. Different relationship with my wife, different relationship with my kids. I found guys in Thumos that had, ADHD kids like I did, and that had raised them. And I found some pretty good advice, and my life has changed from that.
That's fantastic.
You know,
What is the response from your wife and your kids, the Jeremy before Thumos, the weekend, the Zoom calls, and the Jeremy today? What's the difference?
well, the greatest one, the story you loved is when Stacy told me, "You got your mojo back." She said, "Hey, you got your mojo back." and and she's, I didn't know I'd lost it, but your wife knows. Knows you better than anybody. She fell in love with you because you are that man, and you were that leader and that person. And I just didn't realize that I had lost my mojo, but I had it. And getting back in Thumos, in this group of, you know, like-minded men, and men that are into creating the optimal man, uh, put me on that right track. And man, getting into the TRT, testosterone, changed everything for me. Everything. Just Thumos as a whole, the 8 F's to create the optimal man. It's what it's doing for me, working on me.
It tends to work for every man if they work it. When a guy comes into Thumos, okay, where are you? And we help him start being aware and even integrating mind, body, spirit, and heart. And a lot of people go, why heart? Well, heart, because that's where the happiness is. That's where that man smiles again.
Exactly.
And then we look at those 8 F's and we go, okay, where are you in your faith, your finances, your fitness, your family, etc., your focus, which is your mindset. And most importantly, which ones are really strong, because that's where you're going to teach and help other men in the tribe, in the brotherhood, and which ones are really low, because we're going to go after those one or two. And they're so integrated. And so you mentioned you getting your mojo back, and it's one of the things that's become very obvious to me in the 15 or so years of doing this is when we lose our mojo, oftentimes it's not quick. It's not a switch. It's an insidious lowering, testosterone included, over time. And finally, one day we look up, we go get tested or whatever it may be and go, oh man, I'm low. And we don't know how broken we were until we get fixed again. And when we get fixed, whether it's testosterone, getting optimized with our hormones and our health, going on a weekend like you did and experiencing the breakthrough, it's all of a sudden our wives go, holy cow, I've got my man back. Where was he the last 10 years?
Yep, exactly.
So I
Yeah.
think you had told me, I know you told me that you had every reason to not go on that weekend. In fact, you almost turned around and went home a couple of times. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Well, I left out at like 4:30 that morning to drive to Houston, and I backed through my garage door.
But you
Backed right.
kept going. You
I
called
was
you called one of your guys and said, "Get over there and fix my door."
yes. I was like, hey, you got to go fix my garage door. I'm going to Houston for the weekend, and I need somebody to fix my door so my family will be safe. So
Okay, and somewhere around there, what was an hour into your journey? How long was your drive, roughly?
6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah.
And so, like hour one, when did you say screw it and start to turn around
Oh yeah. About the
and go
time
back
like
home?
about 2 hours in, I about hit Dallas traffic. I was hitting Dallas traffic, and I was like, you know what? I don't even know where I'm going, why I'm going. Um, I just felt led there, and I know now that I was led there by the Spirit, and I had two very righteous, powerful men in my life call me on my way down there and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. I just wanted to call, and both of them gave me encouragement, and that is the weekend I found my tribe, and I not to say a whole lot about what goes on down there, but after my carpet work and in our circle, and when you guys told me I was part of your tribe, that changed my life. I mean, a lot of people have groups of friends, but I've got a tribe, a collective of men that are pretty darn powerful. We've got every walk of life, everything you could ever go through. Somebody in this group's gone through it and excelled over it. You know, just
You
yeah.
know, I love your story. I love the honesty. I love the fact that you almost turned around twice. I love the fact that you're open enough to hear from God and even perhaps wrestle with God.
Yeah,
But you heard from a couple of men, which, by the way, how do I hear from God? I go get into nature, which means I get still for once, right? Be still, dude. Go figure.
yep,
Most of the time, I hear from God through other men. Go
absolutely.
figure. Speaking truth into me. What did you get out of your first weekend? Was it real enough? Was it deep enough? Was it what you expected?
I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I guess I'm lucky in that way that I didn't have any expectations. I just showed up because I knew I needed to be there. And after listening to the collective of wise men on those Zoom calls, every one of them said, oh, the weekend experience is, where you really get to the core root of your problems, and what, we all have problems as men, and there's nothing to be ashamed of about that. Well, what I found on the weekend is I found a safe place where I could unload all that BS from years and years of just, you name it, whatever. You can unload it there. And I walked away healed and whole. And I hadn't been healed and whole in many, many years. And through the genius of you men that have been doing this work for a long time, you were able to take issues that I'd had, with father and ex-wife and just all these different issues, and we unloaded them on the carpet by simple processes that you guys know how and have mastered, um, just to take away that wisdom that you guys thrive on helping men. So I mean, I watch it. I watch you thrive on it. I watch Brooke thrive on it, helping men, and how passionate you guys are about it. And I took away a whole a whole man. I took away who I am in one weekend. And it's hard to explain. I walked away with a healed heart and a whole heart.
That's beautiful,
True
man.
story, guys. It's just amazing.
Jeremy, you bring inspiration, motivation back into me like more than you'll ever know. It's the new guys getting it for the first time and getting on fire. You're the why. the why I do and why Brooke does what we do. It's we are passionate about helping men. And when we see that man, when you say become whole, and by the way, the greatest compliment is when your wife Stacy says, I don't know exactly what you did to the man, but thank you.
Yeah.
It's that and when I see the kids and the relationship and the dads like you being awake, present, aware, not being perfect, but progressing when we make mistakes, apologizing, and being purposeful, intentional dads. Oh, and by the way, you mentioned the work, the stuff we take on with, divorces and our own dad issues. Isn't it beautiful if we need to unpack something about our own dads or fathers that we walk away with such love, peace, and forgiveness about whatever message we took on? And most of the time, if a man's dad is still alive, they're able to go back and just enhance and improve those relationships.
Absolutely. I'm living proof. I had to look at and see what kind of son I was being. Was I being a good son to my father who's still alive? No, I wasn't. So we have improved that relationship just by picking up the phone, having lunch together once a week, if possible. Whereas I wasn't seeing him for 3 or 4 months at a time. Now I'm seeing him once a week. And slowly these issues that we had as, you know, him as a younger man and me as a kid are being talked about, resolved, done and over with. Um, it's just a beautiful thing. When I started being a better son, I could see him as a better father. I could see him in a different light, you know. Uh, it all starts with us, right? The change
And
starts in here. And once the change starts in here, it starts emulating out around us and to everyone else.
absolutely, brother. It is the journey within. It is absolute not only growth and impact, but it's self-awareness. How comfortable do you feel with the tribe, the brotherhood? When life throws something at you, how does it feel knowing you have what you have?
It's it's the most amazing thing I've ever been connected to. I grew up in church and I've had church brothers, but there's always that stigma with your church brothers. Well, I don't really want them to know this about me, or I don't want them to know this about me. Well, what I found in Thumos, there are guys just like me. Um, Nobody has any idea how alike Phil Mumford and I are. It's amazing. And you find somebody that's just like you. Um, you know, Brooke and I grew up pretty similar, similar ways. And so you think, well, I don't want this guy to know this about me. He's my church brother. Well, hey, in Thumos, we're life brothers, lifelong brothers. I can tell these guys anything. I mean, anything. And somebody's been through it. Somebody's dealt with it. Um, and as we grow and expand, that collective gets bigger and our wisdom gets bigger. And I think I heard Jason St. Cyr say one time, Thumos will get as big as we can collectively love. Well, I don't see any limits to our love. I feel like we can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as we get bigger, that collective of wisdom that you can draw off of gets bigger. It's a beautiful thing.
The beautiful thing. Our
Beautiful.
values are love, light, and strength. And as long as we stay true to those core values, good things are going to happen. You also
Absolutely.
made me think, not only can you tell a brother anything because they're so much like you, oftentimes they'll know even before you tell them, or they'll sense it, but they can also tell you why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful thing to have such care, connection, accountability all wrapped up into one. To me, that's the difference. That's what we have that's so special. Is sure we've got competence. We have the man at the end of every F to act as a mentor, a coach, but we also have that care. It's more than friendship. It is a depth. It's a brotherhood. It's truth. It's what's lacking in society today, that connected community. It's why I left corporate America, because I wanted to go do life with men that I wanted to be around through thick and thin, a
Mm.
connected community. What are your thoughts? All right, so you came off the weekend and then you knew you had the Zoom calls, the brotherhood to come back to, since we're in different states. How does that feel, knowing you have that integration piece to stay connected to your brothers?
It's huge. When I miss Zoom calls for work, or I've missed Thursday night calls now for a while because of baseball. I feel disconnected. And that's for me being in Oklahoma, I don't have a chapter out here. So I've got to make those Zoom calls to feel connected, or I've got to pick up the phone and call Michael Curry, or, some of my buddies in Thumos, just to feel connected. The Zoom calls are huge, and anybody that gets on one or two of them will realize why they're huge. Um, it's a big connection. I was just going through my journal, and all the Zoom meetings, I'll write down points that I take away from them. And I was just going through this before our meeting, and there is so much wisdom in there. Just how to talk to your children, how to talk to your wife, how to talk to your boss. Just simple things that you may have never thought of, but it comes from the Zoom calls. Just they're inundated with just wisdom and power. That's how I would say it. They're powerful. They're powerful. All of them.
I love that. And they're real.
They're real.
Those powerful tools, techniques, tactics, they come from a lot of us making a whole lot of mistakes and figuring out what works. That's what I love about it. It's like, no, I'm not telling you about what I read in some study. I'm telling you about what I've done with measured results.
Yeah.
And here you go, buddy. I will save you, or someone will save me that time and those mistakes and those errors. And I love that. And also know that there's tons of information out there. There's great information on podcasts today, YouTube. Good luck getting your personalized sort of details, tactics, strategies in place. Good luck getting one of those big gurus on the phone, especially with the care piece. And so I feel like we offer all that. Jeremy, in closing, what do you want your Thumos brothers to know? And what would you tell any man out there that doesn't have a tribe, something like this? What would you want them to hear?
Well, start off with my Thumos brothers. I just want to say to all of them, I love you. And it's okay for me to say that as a 50-year-old man, because now I understand it and what it means. I love you. And to all the guys that have not found Thumos yet, same thing. I love you. And there is a place for you where you can love yourself, find your self-worth, get your mojo back, baby. It's like, welcome to Thumos. Here's your mojo. Start here. I love it.
Awesome, man. Jeremy, thank you. I love you. I love what you bring to this community. It's my honor to be able to spend a few minutes with you this morning and to
Absolutely.
showcase the man that you are and the man that you've become. And I cannot wait to see the man that you are a year from now. Thank you, brother.